and to decolonize the sort of Western grip that our logical, severed selves are under that such a system. And so, yeah, so I love Michelle, obviously. I'm sure like all of us here. I've learned from Michelle, and
I love Michelle.
Fun stuff.
All of us.
Now I hear feedback, so I'm going to stop.
I've learned from Michelle, and I love Michelle.
Hi, and now it's on my channel too, so we're all here together. Oh, look, and everybody looks wonderful. Yay! Oh my gosh, everybody, thank you so much for all of your patience. And I haven't got to hear what y'all were talking about, so if I repeat things, I'm really sorry. Where were you? Christopher was introducing themselves.
Yes, I was glad to be here. Thank you. I think everyone else went, but Jilly Beans, darling.
Can everyone hear me?
Okay.
That's the first question. Okay. I was having some difficulties too. So yes. I am also an intuitive card reader and another friend of Michelle's. And I was lucky enough to have a fantastic Joe. He did my astrology chart for me. I mostly with Oracle and tarot decks, but I have dabbled in astrology and I'm trying to get back into it. So I've been practicing for about 5 years, and I myself was not very public. And this year I have been more public than I probably have been in the last 5 years.
Yeah, nice. No, you're really public now. Jilly Beans has the Wisdom of Three, Beyond the Veil, Behind the Veil, right? Beyond the Veil.
Yes. Beyond the Veil is, we're thinking of changing the name. It just does not roll off the tongue well. Every time, even
the Wisdom of Three.
I'm trying to say that. Yeah, every time we try to say it, Wisdom of Three is fine. It's Beyond the Veil that trips us up. So the name might change, but we just started our own YouTube channel about 6 weeks ago. And it's been doing pretty well so far. It's exciting.
I'm going to put it. Yeah, it has been. It has been. I'm going to try to put it in the chat. So, hang on. I'm going to put it in the chat right now. So everybody will get a link. So y'all, we're going to do our best with this today over here, of course. There we go. All right, I did it. There, your YouTube channel's in the chat. So if you're on the Michelle Embry channel, you can see Jilly Beans link down there, and I will get your other links in here as we go along, everybody. So welcome to WitchAid. Thank you, everybody. This is super. Oh yeah, perfect. That's great. Oh yay. All right. So we've been working on our tech for a while. So like, this is a crazy thing. And there's so many of us here. This is a pretty big operation. And we're going to afternoon today. And I think, yeah, okay. So one person who's new to meet here today about everybody. So we are here today to, oh, I see what I keep doing. I'm so sorry. Go ahead. All right, I got this. So let me also talk about celebrate. I think Jove is going to be ready with a video here after I talk for a minute. So we're going to play one. Medea of Moon is our subject of WitchAid today. This is who we're throwing into the cauldron for today. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about them as before we move on. So Medea of Moon is, hang on, let me get I want to read you some of this writing. It's very beautiful. So this is from Medea's, what I want to tell you first. Did I leave? A witch, a teacher, a singer, all varieties, and a filmmaker, and just a deeply magical person. I wish stabilize. Okay, let me see. So is everybody's okay? Everybody's fine except me. I'm the one who's frozen. Is that right?
I got cut in and out for a second too, Michelle. So it's frustrating. It's not only you, and I'm sorry that this is happening.
Yeah,
You look beautiful.
Thank you so much, Callie. Yeah. I don't know much what to do. I have an ether cable going. That should have solved this problem for me, but it didn't. I may have chat. I don't know what else I would do. I'm not gonna be able, or maybe I need to phone it in. We're gonna have to do something.
Looks like we lost our connection to Michelle there. So
myself. It was totally it was nothing to do with technology as a human.
we're getting some definitely Mercury retrograde crackly sort of lines there. So let me just pull up. I think which is some of the text that Michelle was reading, but we want to just show a video of who we're supporting today, Medea. It's absolutely beautiful. So join us for this piece here called Alive. beautiful piece. And I just wanted to take a little time to shout out Bev, who was the first one to drop some money into the cauldron today. So shout out to Bev for doing that. As you can see, the bar on top, we're getting a little bit closer to our goal. So anything you can give would be greatly appreciated today. How you doing, Michelle? Everything's coming in a little bit more clearly now?
If I'm right. I
Looks
think,
like we might.
well, as long as I'm clear for you all, it looks like I'm coming in on the stream okay. I just can't. On this end, things are not good, but when I see it on the YouTube, it looks like it's all right. No. Mm-mm.
Well, I just saw Leslie, who also dropped some money into the cauldron. Thank you for your contribution today. So I think, with Michelle having some difficulties, let's jump into giving some readings. And so people in the audience, if you'd like, you can drop in some questions, and readers, we can maybe I'll read out a question and someone can volunteer to take it. How does that sound? Great. So anyone in the audience, is there a question that you have that you'd like answered from one of our incredible readers today? Or would anyone like to start with giving a reading to kind of open it up for the group, for all the participants and all the audience?
I had written out, Michelle asked me if I would do a little reading at the beginning. So I did come up with a little thing. If you guys would want to participate in that with me. It's just a little visualization. And I'm going to read it off my phone. So if I'm looking down there, it's because I'm reading. So if everybody would want to imagine this with me, I was thinking about this when I thought about us being in a stream together. So dip your feet into the cooling waters of this stream. Visualize us all sitting by the banks of a beautiful reflective flow of water sparkling in the sunlight while we sit under a tree. We are sitting with each other, sharing space and hanging out like human beings are supposed to do. We are supporting each other in a community like human beings are supposed to do. And then this is just a little Celtic prayer. Grant, O Great Spirit, thy protection, and in protection, strength, and in strength, understanding, and in understanding, knowledge, and in knowledge, the knowledge of justice, and in the knowledge of justice, the love of it, and in that love, the love of all existences, and in the love of all existences, the love of the earth, our mother, and all goodness. So I hope that we have a great stream together in our stream.
Thank you, Kelly. Hey, Michelle.
Is that working?
I think so.
Let's see. Is that working? Yeah? Okay. Let me get that out of the background. And let me see. Oh, I don't know how to mute my phone, so it's going to be like impossible for me to hear what's going on. All right. Okay. All right. Well, maybe this will work. Have some fun today. I know. Thank you all so much for being patient, because it's been super frustrating. And I'll tell you what, Jove and I worked really hard on this tech to make it work. We tested it. We got a cord. We went through everything, all this stuff. We have really done our due diligence on having great tech today, and it just was not in the cards for at least this first half hour. But you know what? We can turn that around.
You sound great now.
So, and again, now I'm like, I haven't really been able to listen to what was going on and all that stuff. Do I? Okay, this is on my phone, so this seems to be working, and I can see the chat and all that on my laptop. So again, thank you all very much. And like I say, I don't know what happened. Callie, I got to hear a little bit of that. Thank you. That was so beautiful. Thank you so much for what I heard. And I was like, the cool waters of this stream. And I'm like, I'm coming. We're all going to be in cool waters together. Because see, the important thing here too is that like, I'm your MC. So I'm the one who's like, knows what's going on. Joe's our tech, guy. So like, that's, so that's the other thing that's happening here. So again, thank you all very much. And I may just kind of start at the top because this is what's happened. And I definitely want to read something from Media's Patreon, which you can. Now I'm going to type this in my chat. This is the name of Nectar is the name. I'm going to type that in my chat and I will put links up there as well. I'm going to put a Patreon link up there. Hang on. And then I'm going to read this to you from our very dear witch, Media. Let me put this in the chat. All right, there we go. And this is actually from their Patreon. So I don't know if you heard me earlier when I was talking about all the things that Media does. Certainly a singer. I think they are very well known for their singing, certainly for their magic. They do so many things: installations, film, dance, movement. I mean, just being around Media, your roots go into the earth, and you can see how many times they have walked this earth just by looking into their eyes. So it's so important to all of us, to the magical community, not only in New Orleans and Albania, but around the world. It's very important that we keep our Media of Moon healthy, wealthy, and wise, right? Wait, no, that's a Ben Franklin quote. Forget that. We're going to keep them healthy and give them all the abundance they need in the world. So this is from their Patreon, which their Patreon is Nectar, creating ritual, music, poetry, film, and film. So the digital dissolves, and there is a container that is humming with the song, a song that pours up from the heart of the earth. The bees carry this song in their wings. Pomegranate and fig trees encircle with deep mountain roots. Wells of fresh water pour into the sea. Inside of this container, music and poetry wind together, and all the visual images of deep erotic earth shapes begin to swim upward. Inside of this container is an invitation to support our work. Our art advocates for trauma recovery, for embodied presence of pleasure and joy, for the unweaving of internal and external systems of oppression. One more paragraph. I went down too far. God, I'm even like sweating today. All right. Nectar draws from countless streams of support, synthesizing these inspirations within our own experiences. We hold the truth that every artist, every person is a crossroads of ideas, a series of imprints. Moving through billions of patterns that sleep into our consciousness, we recognize those influences as points of growth, change, and challenge. We look to widen perspectives, to examine personal and collective pathways towards liberation, to cradle sweetness, joy, sensual trust, personal truths, and to weatherproof against the near constant onslaught of reductive ideas of who one can be, of what one can be, believe. It is our framework of success in whichever ways it evolves, what we create and when, freedom from executives and producers deciding the shapes of our sounds, performances, expressions, freedom of the binary performer audience relationship to create more nuanced relationships between ourselves and others who experience the work. Financial support means having space and time to explore and develop concepts and expressive formats, to learn technologies and to experiment. So most of that's all this incredible poetry, and then the end of it is about their Patreon, which I am a member of, and you can be too. But those are some of the beautiful things that Medea says about their own work. So again, thank you all for being here. And I kind of want to we'll go down the panel too. I'll read the things that I kind of have in here for you too as we go along. So let me get to my plan over here. And Callie read for us already. That's wonderful. Okay. Let me find my we got it. We got this now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and draw. Did we draw a card for the stream yet? From here on out. This is the card for the stream from here on out. Okay. And so maybe we can all weigh in on it. I'll draw it and we'll all say something about it. All right. Thank you. Thank you for making this phone work. Thank you for making this stream work. Thank you for everyone coming together. And let me get a card for right now for the rest of this stream, for the rest of this beautiful, beautiful day. Oh, they just flew out. Okay, they just flew out. There's nothing you can do about it. Okay, this is good though, y'all. 3 of Pentacles. That's good for the rest of this stream, right? That's what we want. And we get the King of Cups. That King of Cups, honestly, for me, is just me holding my emotions together right now, okay? And this the 2 of Swords. I think that's going to be us going deep, right? I don't know. Who else wants to weigh in on that? Somebody else tell me what you think. I've got 3 of Pentacles, King of Cups, and the 2 of Swords, and they all just jumped out.
I'm really excited for the 3 of Pentacles. It's all
anybody? 3. Yes. Yes, me too. Okay.
I feel like the King of Cups is during the cauldron. You know what I mean? Like pour into the cauldron, and so it's a big cauldron. So please pour all the water in, all the coins.
I also think that it's with that 2 of Swords. Hey, we might have some blockages.
Yeah, good.
We might have
good.
a little
You're
bit
right.
of blockages.
Yes, do indeed.
It doesn't matter. We're still all here. We're still all going to share and be vulnerable with each other and be creative. And I think it's a wonderful sign that the 3 of Pentacles might be, hey, you know, this is the inaugural WitchAid, and we might be starting off small, but we're definitely starting off strong.
Yes, I love that. Yes, thank you. And actually, Allison, we would love to hear from you next. I'm going to say a little bit about Allison. Allison and I more recently met in person, which was super awesome. And Allison I'm going to put her YouTube channel and other things I think is great. I gotta tell you, Allison cracks me up, y'all. She's a fantastic card reader and manifester, but also on top of it, just a very funny person. So no pressure. but you're gonna give us a and I love Allison's version of like manifestation in the sovereign age. And so I'm super stoked to hear what she has to say next. So please, Allison, I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay, well, like Michelle said, I am Allison Martinez, and I am the New Thought manifestation flavor of magical girl. And typically, when someone says manifestation, depending on where you are in the magical community, rightfully, we might hear some groans or maybe some scorn, or I don't know what this person is going to say. And that is because manifestation can have a pretty bad rap within the wider magical community. And I think mostly for good reason. And what I do personally and across my social media channels is to call that out where it presents itself, to challenge it, and to offer updated processes, techniques, and systems for people who are tired of manifestation BS. And so I usually call that sovereign manifestation or manifesting in the sovereign age, because that is where I would like to take the conversation and drive the manifestation community towards, which I think is a great place to go and most definitely more nourishing for the wider community. So one of the big things, one of the beliefs that I talk about a lot on my channels that I attempt to deconstruct is the belief within manifestation that the universe is all mental. And what I prefer to say is that perception is powerful, but leaning way into that all mental belief gets a lot of people over the barrel within their manifestation process. Because the all mental universe, colloquially, is the matrix. It is material form. And there is much more to reality than materiality. Altering materiality is not changing reality. Mental manifestation, when you lean too far into it, is usually changing the scenery, but not the situation. Or more commonly, no matter where you go, there you are. You can rearrange the deck chairs all you want, but sometimes, unfortunately, the ship is still going down. So reality, from my perspective, is truth. To change reality intentionally, we must accept, well, we have to realize the truth of the matter, accept it, understand it, and then pass through it to change things. Truth does not, from my perspective, reside in the mind. We perceive it with the mind, but the grail of truth resides in the heart. And in order to achieve what the manifestation community will call manifestation is easy, or increasingly effortless manifestation, from my perspective, goes hand in hand with coming in touch with the truth of your heart, which is authenticity. That is where we start manifesting with increasingly more ease, but also, unfortunately, there are often monsters in the heart, which is why a lot of people don't want to go there, because getting in touch with authenticity is actually a big ask, depending on what your authenticity is. And the process of getting there can often be painful. Our personal truths can be painful. And I think the idea that the universe is all mental, or heavy mentalism, is very seductive, because what it suggests is that you can have whatever you want without really doing any of the hard work of confronting who you are. And that sort of manifestation is usually manifesting to escape reality instead of dealing with it. And while some people might have some short-term results from that, the truth always catches up with you. And that can be a painful, even though useful, manifestation lesson that a lot of people learn. All mental, this is a little bit possibly inflammatory or controversial, I'm not sure, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. I stand by it. All mental manifestation is, on the whole, something for the faint of heart. True effortless manifestation, being in your authenticity and expressing that in materiality, that is for the courageous of heart. And I am much more concerned within serenity, not with getting people what they want, but getting people free, getting everybody free. And sometimes personal liberation is going to come at the cost of what we want, either for our own benefit or for the greater good of the collective. So, having said that, I am going to close on a collective reading, hopefully for y'all. I know I wasn't super spicy or funny with my little speech, so if you come to the YouTube channel, I don't know, maybe it'll come out on this read, but I'm a little subdued on the live stream. However, the reads get wild on the YouTube channel, so we're going to see what comes out for the reading. It gets wild. I don't know, and I'm always questioning, like, should I be saying this way? And it's like, no, go for it. Go for it. So we'll see. I'll see what comes out and maybe make this a manifestation check. Hopefully it hits for some of y'all out there. And let's see. Underneath the deck, we have the Hierophant. So I don't know. I think we might be challenging some structures, some systems, maybe creating some new beneficial, stable ones on this stream. Oh, that's gonna... Okay, we'll move it down. I think you might not be able to see that top one, but we'll do our best. I'll hold it up. Ah, so we have the Ace of Swords, and I'm just gonna go ahead and call it. Everything I just said, everything that's going to be said on this stream, it is the absolute truth. We are in our integrity, and we are not afraid to speak what it is that we believe, speak what it is that is the truth. And out there in the collective, people who are participating in this stream, I think that you are likely the type of people who are going to stand up for people who need it. I usually call this Excalibur's sword. This is the sword of serenity, and it looks like that everyone out there is likely grasping it, which is wonderful. And I just want to point out, we have our little crown. I don't know if y'all can see that. Our nice little crown on our sword. So we have, oh my gosh, what is this? We have the Princess of Wands, which is the Page of Wands, the Knight of Pentacles, and the Three of Swords. I might pull a clarifier on that, but what I see here is that despite troubles, maybe, like I said, getting to authenticity, the truth of the heart is often a painful process. But I think within the collective, you know, there is a childlike energy about this, that despite whatever traumas or past hurts that the collective has been through, perhaps, there is still an enthusiasm to meet the world and meet it magically, and to meet it with a sense of play. But that sense of play is grounded by this Knight of Pentacles, which is slow and steady and practical. I'm going to pull one more on that Three of Swords, just to see if we can get a little more there. And then ask if there are any different interpretations from the other readers. I love to hear different perspectives. A big chunk came out, so let's see what's going on. Yeah, this is wonderful. So a lot of this, I believe, is systemic, this Three of Swords. We have here the Eight of Cups, walking away from what, well, maybe those old structures, those old hierarchies, tyranny, maybe people using power in ways that they should not be, perhaps people having power that they should not have. And what's going on when we walk away from that, we're doing a lot of soul searching for how we want to be in the world. Now that we've seen the example of what we don't prefer or what we would like to correct, it'll drive us inward. And having the strength to do that self-reflection and to come out onto the other side of it, knowing who we want to be, knowing who we want to say, knowing the type of changes that we want to make in our consensus reality, we will do so phenomenally and reach this fulfillment, this 10 of Cups, by definitely engaging with things that maybe a lot of others out there won't want to engage with because, like I said, we're here for the good fight and the long haul. So I would love to hear if anybody else has anything else to say about those particular cards.
I've been chomping at the bit ever since the Ace of Swords came out, because when you were talking, I was like, this is very Ace of Swords energy, and it popped up. And the craziest thing is I have 2 decks that I've been shuffling off and on throughout the last hour, and at the both of the bottom of the decks, they're both at Ace of Swords. So I just feel like there is a large group of people here who are ready to go out and take action to something. Like, this is the start of some type of clearing of maybe a thought process that you have, or like the opening of something coming into your mind and sparking something. And I don't think it's just going to sit stagnant in you. I think it's going to stir things up and push you forward to pursue it.
Yeah, that's wild. Like, I feel that in my body. Like, I just feel like that energy kind of in general for a lot of people right now. That's interesting. I love that. Was that the first card you pulled, Allison?
Yep, that was the card for what is the predominant energy that the collective is currently embodying.
Was that the first card you pulled?
Yes, yep.
That's nice. What was the next one?
The next one was the Princess of Wands, Page of Wands.
What was the next card?
Knight of Pentacles.
Ooh, that Page of Wands. That's like youthful excitement. That's like starting at. Uh-huh. Did I freak? I'm frozen. Oh, okay. Chris, what do you think? What do you think? You can add some astro into it, Chris. What's happening with everybody? What's going on?
Yes, I love it. I mean, so many cards, and also I'm just like feeling the cards you pulled as well, Michelle. We just had an eclipse, so we're on an eclipse kind of hangover, come down, and whatnot. And eclipses, yes, very Three of Swords energy. There, it was a lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Moon is already fallen in Scorpio. Like, she's already a moody bitch when she's in Scorpio. But you throw an eclipse on that, and it's not about, interestingly enough, like, I think so much of it is the embodying and just purging of hard, deep, shadowy emotions that are that may make your mind spin and run, but at a certain point there's like that clarity breakthrough Ace of Swords moment, or that may come between these like murky clouds we've been moving through. But so much of this eclipse is about emotional embodiment and almost refraining from or rather noticing the old narratives that we'd have around certain emotions. Do you know what I mean? And then separating them and cutting them off. And I think that's very Three of Swords, very Ace of Swords, that embodiment with that Nine of Pentacles. And then the Page of Wands, or the Princess of Wands, which she's like so cute with her flowery, it's like you can focus on the thorn or you can focus on the blossom, on that rose blossom. And so yeah. But very excited, very happy to be here, even though our tech difficulties are foiling us somewhat. I feel that was Michelle's Two of Swords kind of moment. I did see in the chat for some people that there were some questions. I don't know if it's okay if I maybe talk about one of them, or how do you feel,
Absolutely.
Joe? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let me see. So Leslie, it's okay. I'm going to go in order. I saw Leslie 1266. Would anyone like to share when they knew they had a different calling than the average person? That's a big question. Hello, welcome back, Michelle. Hello. So I'm looking at Leslie's question in the chat as well of answering the calling. One calling, your calling card is like judgment, right? Like the judgment card in the tarot. So if you're pulling that card, that is about awakening to like a social reality. It's like, no, like we can be stuck in our own little paradigms and our own little universes, right? But then we pull the judgment and we're like, oh, this is the weather for everyone. Like, oh, we're the ones who are heeding and answering the call are being called. And so I don't know, the average person, I have like, so like, you know, what is the average person for me? That would that mean the average like conditioned colonized person, like just like cis het normal male person, like kind of mode or model, right? So one, I feel like the first part is like I've just always been queer. You know what I mean? So I feel like maybe it wasn't a calling rather than a pushing, you know, rather than being like being excluded from a certain space that put a onus on me to hear differently, to see differently, to talk to trees and animals and plants and just like fill that space of absence of being marginalized with some divine communication, you know. And I try to go a sort of traditional route, if you will, or like within an institutionalized route, and again was pushed out. So it's rather just like this kicking out that like was like, okay, let me stop trying to do that and just follow my passion, you know what I mean? And I think that was tarot, and that is astrology, and that's like reading. And so as I've done that, that's been, and that was around the pandemic, do you know what I mean? But like, again, I've been queer and whatnot my whole life. And so I think I've always known, you know, I think we all have our uniqueness. I think that we're all queer. It's just a matter of unshackling the straight jackets that we've been bound to, you know. So that's what I'd say about that question, but I'll stop there. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Christopher. That was beautiful, and I think answered that question really, really, really well. Just wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who's donated. We've had a couple of donations come in. You can see the bar up at the top, slowly getting closer. So thank you, everyone who has given. We've got Bev, Leslie, and Coco and Erica so far. So thank you all for your support. We really, really appreciate it. Looks like there are a couple other questions in here. Would someone else like to take one from the chat?
I don't mind taking one. The sex ed with Miss Vajayjay, which chef's kiss to that username, really speaks to me. So how can I begin to heal communication with those I love, especially my adult children? I feel like I am drawn to people who express explicit disappointment in my communication. So I have seemingly had a lifetime of drawing people who have the same type of communication to me, whether I was a child or now. And I think the thing that I notice changing the most is what I allow and what I accept. So I've started to look within and say, okay, how is my communication going outwardly? Since I believe that what comes back to you is a mirror and a magnet of what you are putting out and what you are giving to yourself. So just taking a moment that I kind of looked at, what is my self-talk? What is my self-belief? What is it that I am allowing myself to accept in these communications? Once I started speaking to myself a little kinder and focusing on the things that I needed to do myself, I stopped needing to get that through external communications. And if it did come in and I feel like it's disrupting my happiness, my good vibe, my good place, and my stance on how I view myself, I simply reject it. That's your opinion. That seems to be the things that you are dealing with, the things that you are fighting. Don't put that on me. If you would like to have an open conversation or be a little bit more vulnerable in your approach, then let's sit down and do that. I want to come to an understanding. I just don't want to have a judgment or a resentment placed on me. It's up to me to accept that energy. You can't really prevent what comes to you. It's just how do you internalize it and how do you respond to it?
Wow. That was awesome, Sophia. Thank you so much. Am I?
Okay,
I don't know if I can be heard or seen or any of that. That's why I'm quiet.
I'm gonna chime in too and just say that
Joe, can you hear me?
Yep, we're all good.
I'm gonna chime in too and say to just remind them that whenever you are communicating with them, that it's coming from a place of love. I'm seeing that it may come off a little bit harsh. And maybe sometimes you like overthink what you are trying to communicate. So less thinking, just more from the heart center, is what I'm getting on that question. And that is to sex ed with Miss JJ. Yes. So I hope that helps.
I also think it's really just a lot of great work to maintain the intention of wanting to heal. A lot of that on my own channel has been coming through a lot with the collective reads, that over the next 3.5 years, there's a lot of energy open for people who have been estranged from each other to come into a healthier union, as long as they're both holding the right intention. And I pulled some cards. Oh, and it looks like, I don't know. I think I might want to side with Kudzu. It looks like there might be some overthinking going on with this version of the Seven of Swords, or maybe you feeling like you can't say what you really want to say. So if you ever feel like you're not being direct, that could be part of the problem, because what I see here after that Seven of Swords is the Empress and the Ace of Cups. So I think despite your perception of what's going on, I really see that if we're talking about children, the Empress is a great nurturer and someone who is striving to give love and nourishment to their own children. I don't know if you identify as a mother, but that is the embodiment of that energy. And with the Ace of Cups, I can just see that your intention is a really good one. And as long as you're maintaining that, I think that it is likely to spill over into what you want to see with your relationships with others.
I'll address Leslie 1266 too, and talk about a little bit of um, initiation into the metaphysical realm. It really just started with just distaste in my everyday life and knowing, like just having an inner knowing that something more was out there. Um, and I started off with a Reiki session. And once I had a Reiki session, um, it kind of just unfolded from there. There were a lot of different sensations and a lot of different visions that came up for me. And from there, I just explored a way to find those answers and deepen my intuition of what it meant for those things to come up for me. And then just kept going from there.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts there. So, um, if there's any questions from the viewers or discussion topics that like us to cover, feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll start talking about them now. If there's any questions from the audience for the diviners for tarot reading, drop them in the chat. Is there something for the group maybe that we want to get started with? Pull a couple cards.
I have a question for the group. It's lighthearted though, but just for Nosy and my shopaholic side, what tarot decks are you using?
I'm using the Aquarian Tarot deck. I'll just show a few of the imagery of the cards.
Oh.
This is my go-to deck to use, but other favorites are the Delta Enduring Tarot deck. It's a great deck. It's a New Orleans and Southern-based tarot deck. What else? I just got a new one that's also really good. I'll have to look. I don't know the title by heart.
And I've been using the Pastel Journey.
We've had someone write in and say, it's my birthday tomorrow and I would like a reading for the new year of celebrating my life. Does someone like to give a reading for R?
Yes, I will do so. Okay, so happy birthday. Can you say how old you are in the chat or how old you're turning as well? I love those decks that y'all have. I love your deck, Allison, too. It's like super cute and it's giving me like Steven Universe vibes. Of course, the Delta Enduring one is classic. I'm using the Fyodor Pablo Tarot, the Centennial Edition Rider Waite, and then the Star Spinner Tarot today, which is another fave and classic. But yeah, I'll definitely give a birthday reading. I'm down. Do we get their age? I'm just curious. Like,
Yeah, so this is for Erica. She's turning 31.
Oh, cheers, Erica, 31.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. So let's see. I'm gonna card for Erica for, let's see, for 30. Card for this turn of the year. Oh, got some. Oh, bunch jumped out for you, Erica. Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll see those. And then one card for just the promise of 31. Okay. Okay, Erica. My gosh. Okay. So first off, I like to, wrap, like to give a purview of 30 of like where you're, like what we're wrapping up, right? And so you got the Page of Wands for this past year. Sorry, it's like flipped or whatever, so I'm like mirrored. But I always love this page because of their boots. They got I like need these boots in my life with the thigh highs. And the Page of Wands, is like maybe this past year you spent some time investing in your expression, in like, how do I move in the world now? Like I'm in my 30s, like this is a new decade, like I have a new song, I've got some new looks, like I am exploring passion for the first time and following the harmony, right? And then for the turn of the year, right? So like we're at this like the turn of the year, I feel so liminal. Obviously, again, we're still in an eclipse period. It's an eclipse lunation until this new moon, right? So like, yes, we're past the eclipse technically, but we're still in an eclipse lunation. And you got 4 cards that jumped out for that, okay? So one, the Page of Coins. So we love another page, right? So here we are, we're planting our seeds. Mercury is in Taurus. There's like a lot of Jupiter's going to be in Taurus soon, and that's very much fertilizing the land, like fertilizing the body. It's like, okay, here's this new plot of life. Like, what are my intentions? What are my dreams? Like, what is my relationship to my body, to place, to my people, right? Like, what am I investing in? Then the Knight of Wands. All right. So a lot of court card, obviously, courts thus far, right? Courts are about ways of showing up. You know, they're like, for me, the courts, yes, signal people in our lives, but they're also forms of embodiment and like how to show up. So the pages are students, right? Like they're here in serious study and serious devotion, working with the knights. But the knights are practitioners. Knights are the ones who are praxis oriented, right? They're like trying to figure out how to put into action what their ideal is, what they've been knighted to do to pursue the goal. And they're given a lot of trust because they roam around the world beyond the bounds of the castle, right? Figuring this out, being trusted. And the Knight of Wands is, again, like this nice development from that Page of Wands. And the Knight of Wands is like, keep riding that horse, like be erotic. You know what I mean? Like the Knight of Wands, I'm gonna say, wants you to have sex. You know what I mean? Or like in whatever ways. They want you to come, they want you to pursue orgasm, they want you to follow the passion, they want you to light the fire. You know, they're like, come on, baby, light my fire, right? And so you might be planning, and then especially with the Page of Coins, which is like throwing out all the seeds, you know, it's given very fertile energy, all right? Very, very fertile. So there might be some swift like things that are catching your attention and like wanting you to like take heed on and like jump on that horse very fast, but hold that steed, right? That Knight of Wands is like, come quick, go quick. You know what I mean? The Knight of Wands is like, don't, untamable, right? Then we've got Judgment. Then you got Judgment. So like, again, there is that one. And this Judgment is particularly non like religiously descript, but this one is an intense judgment. You know, sometimes it's the people like popping out of the crypt and they're like reawoken and like the alarm went off and they're like, oh, like it's a new day, it's a new life. Like they're pulling on this angel judgment figure, this soul guide here, like, don't forget about me, you know, kind of a thing. They're like, hey, I'm down here, like we need some of this attention. And so I think that one, this is a time of awakening, right? This year is a time of like the things of that page, that fertility of that Page of Coins, the erotic movement of the Knight of Wands. It's not superfluous. It's not just, it's like a big deal, right? That you heed and follow your passions, that you invest in your passions. Like there is something of like really stepping to the next level and progressing upon your soul path right now, and like having these awakenings, right? These realizations, these motivations being fired up. And that probably not everyone will be able to come with you. You know, a lot of this is more individuated. Like a lot of this is like, what do you need to do to pursue and follow your dreams? And people from the past may want you to carry them along with you, but you know, that's per your judgment. The thing about judgment is like, I'm an astrologer as well, and it's always the judgment of the nativity, right? The judgment of the cards. Like we need judgment, we need discretion, we need discernment. And so use your judgment to deem who and how you give your energy to, right? Who you let make you come or whatnot, who you're coming with and who's coming along or not, okay? Because we also got the Five of Swords here, okay? And the Five of Swords is the Five of Swords is ruptured relationality, right? This is Venus and Aquarius. I'm working on the fives piece on my Substack, which Michelle did link. Thank you. And you know, I call this one as well like the Hanzo sword. I don't know if y'all seen Kill Bill, okay? And Beatrix, and like so what happens is like people try and like, this is a card of breaking curses, right? Of like ending gossip, of cutting a demon's tongue out, if you will, right? And people trying to gossip about us or perpetuate a story of ill harm or ill will or put the evil eye on you is like this weak sword. It's like this weak claim, right? But when you have that Hanzo sword, when you're owning your truth, you cut through their sword. Like that still can't hold the metal of you actually taking ownership of your voice, of your story, of your narrative, like you knowing who the F you are, of you being like, that's not me. right? And so this is a time of breaking identifications, with that villain victim dichotomy, right? Kind of a thing, like letting that go, like purging people out who are like committed to misperceiving you, you know what I mean? And instead turning your focus again to maybe children, to the land, to gardening, to things that turn you on, right? And the promise of the year. Okay, so be ready for this one, my darling, because this one's tough. The Three of Swords, right? We got the Three of Swords. You got the Three of Swords. So, and in particular, like, you know, sometimes the Three of Swords is like so 2D, right? Like it's like a striking meditation, but in this deck, this is a visceral ass Three of Swords. Like that's a real heart being pierced with three swords. You know what I mean? Like there's this different. But this is Saturn in Libra, which is an exalted position. One, there's like a purging of your heart. There's a clearing of your heart. There's like a release of grief and of weight in your heart. And two, I think that there's an opening to true love. You know what I mean? If you're pursuing love, if you want love in your life, Bell Hooks says when like the weight and the responsibility of love will scare, like you'll run the other direction. You know, we all say we want that until it shows up at our door, and we run away because love requires honesty. Love requires like meeting your prickly, unpolished self and exposing that and sharing that with the other. And we often can't handle that level of intensity of intimate knowing when we're sort of stuck in this Five of Swords patterning of being taught shame, internalizing shame and fear and whatnot. And so this Three of Swords is a very purgative card, right? So you can make many moves in terms of your ability to be honest with your heart and to like release it from shame and whatnot. So there's so much that can, like, there's so much for you this year and whatnot. And at the bottom, I'll just share at the bottom of the deck is the Chariot. So a good sign, right? Like a good bolstering for this, like, I mean, here it is, like into the new solar year, right? So happy birthday again. Okay, don't let old heart pain slow you down. Just let it be light as a feather. And I'll stop there. I hope that resonates.
I don't think the comments are coming through, but there's a lot of yes. OMG, so pertinent. Thank you. This is so good. So that's coming in from the WitchAid.
Sweet. That was great. Is there another question on deck? Or because I wanted to read something else about Chris, or Christopher, if that's all right.
It's all right with me. Please.
Yeah. Okay. You can hear me, right? This is from Christopher's Substack, and this is for, I think this is something that you're going to be teaching. If there's somebody out there that like wants to take, I mean, I can take Christopher's class on my own, but we can do it together too. Hit me up. Maybe we'll do that. This is something you're teaching, XZ. Is that something you're teaching?
Yes. So it's like tens. So I just kind of like put it like per the 10, like the X, then plus the Z. And it's a guided tarot walk. I mean, a Decan walk, which is the minor arcana as a calendar for the zodiac, but split into like, rather than the 12 signs, it's 3 decans for each sign that are syncretized to the tarot. And so that syncretization is a newer one, like relatively recent in the history of the decans, which are like 4 millennia old star calendar that people have been tracking, like and with like overlapping cultural identifications and whatnot. But I've done a further syncretization by pairing feminist, indigenous, like queer texts to each zodiac season and each pairing of cards, which was quite a labor, might I say. And we meet twice a zodiac season. And we read the ancient descriptions. I have like a pre-recorded module, and then like we do another class where we're just doing our spread, and we look at everyone's chart, one house at a time, like one planet at a time, and in consideration to the cards, you know, because I find that the cards are like a codex or a filing system that are just like, we really charge the symbols of our decks and of our cards. And so it's a very prolific process. I'm going to keep like I'm just gonna be, it's gonna be ongoing. So I have different points where you can like get in on the train and whatnot. And so yeah, please join me there. I would love that. Let me know if you have questions about it or anything, or if that makes sense.
Well, I wanted to read, because this is just, I mean, like, that's all. It's so, I love to hear you talk, Christopher. I wanted to read this. This is what you said about it, though. You said, my voice, my teaching is one of urban, detribalized, trans native. Red pedagogy operates a rhetoric and a social movement. While XZ ties this movement to celestial cycles, it is a study, a tracking, a following the motion of the planets in a coherent and majestic omenology. I just love all those words. I think I understand most of them. And anyway, I definitely am going to be pulling up a seat in one of your classes probably soon, Christopher. Thank you. Jove, are you out there?
I am.
Are you around? Hi. What do you think about talking about Cornelius for a minute and playing their video?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Christopher, thank you so much for that. It was beautiful.
Cool.
And I love this integration of astrology with cards and the deck-ins, and I want to take that class. That sounds really fun. So taking a look at one of our contributors today, we've got a video from Cornelius, a piece called Felix Gonzalez Torres.
Hey, it's Cornelius. I feel like to really get the effect, you need to turn to the side. This poem is called Felix Gonzalez Torres. I'm starting to realize there's a few things I kind of come back to a lot. Let's see if you can catch any of them in this poem. I had a memory. I've had memories. Felix Gonzalez Torres, soaring strings. I've wanted only to reach you and trick you into for a moment, having a memory of beauty so great you forget most things. In a hotel by Palo Alto at night, in front of a cold plate glass window, 6 weeks into lockdown, he came up behind you and pressed his front against your back, all warm. Around your neck his arm reached, and at the tip of his arm his hand, and at the tip of his hand his finger, and at the tip of his finger a small vial with industrial cleaner, which feels warm on the tongue. He explains about chemical densities and heat transfers. Makes you high. He really remembered last year's dance floors, lasers, fog. Made you remember some sweet tang of strangers' spit in your mouth, the smell of their muzzle on yours. Do you remember? I do. I had a memory. I've had memories. Felix Gonzalez Torres, soaring strings. I wanted only to reach you and trick you into for a moment, having a memory of beauty so great you forget most things, in a hotel by Palo Alto at night, in front of a cold plate glass window. 6 weeks into lockdown, he came up behind you and pressed his front against your back, all warm. Around your neck his arm reached, and at the tip of his arm his hand, and at the tip of his hand his finger, and at the tip of his finger a small vial with industrial cleaner, which feels warm on the tongue. He explains about chemical densities and heat transfers. It makes you high. You really remembered last year's dance floors, lasers, fog. Made you remember some sweet tang of a stranger's spit in your mouth, the smell of their muzzle on yours. Do you remember? I do. I had a memory. I've had memories. Felix Gonzalez Torres, soaring strings. I have wanted only to reach you and trick you into for a moment, having a memory of beauty so great you forget most things. In a hotel by Palo Alto at night, in front of a cold plate glass window, 6 weeks into lockdown, he came up behind you and pressed his front against your back, all warm. Around your neck his arm reached, and at the tip of his arm his hand, and at the tip of his hand his finger, and at the tip of his finger a small vial with industrial cleaner, which feels warm on the tongue. He explains about chemical densities and heat transfers. It makes you high. You remembered, you really remembered last year's dance floors, lasers, fog. Made you remember some sweet tang of a stranger's spit in your mouth. The smell of their muzzle on yours. Do you remember? I do. I had a memory.
Again, that was Cornelius, and you can find more of their work on Big Poetic, drag queen, poet, choreographer, a priestess without a temple.
Reading for Erica in the chat. Could you read it, Joe?
I can. So for Erica, Kudzu says, you seem to have a lot of clarity in what direction you want to take, and you are listening to your intuition on what path to follow. You are learning more of your worth and realizing what you have to offer, moving more into faith. I see energy of deciding to move closer to friends. Also see disappointment from a past love connection that you are slowly moving on from. So, thank you for that, Kudzu, who had to leave.
Thank you.
And it looks like we have.
Yeah, Kudzu had to leave. That Cornelius poem is amazing. Thank you so much, Cornelius, for sending that to us. I'm going to mute myself.
We have another question coming in. It says, I recently found out a good friend of mine is having a difficult time. Outside of being there for her, what's the best way I can show support? And that's coming from Bev. So again, I recently found a good friend of mine is having a difficult time. Outside of being there for her, what's the best way I can show support? Is there a reader who might pull some cards for this question?
I mean, if I can, if I stay steady, I would love to chime in. What's the question again? She wants to be supporting her friend.
I recently found out a good friend of mine is having a difficult time. Outside of being there for her, what's the best way I can show support?
I can take this. Maybe if we can all piece together. I don't have I can feel that I have very fragmented advices. But the card that jumped out immediately, even as Joe was reading the question, was the Three of Hearts in reverse, which is it's hitting everyone today from the very beginning when Allison pulled this card. It coming in reverse, though, it followed with the Wheel of Fortune and Justice. And I'm really taking this as perhaps she's going through very big life cycles, just going through really big changes that maybe feel really heartbreaking. Maybe she's really, or I'm feeling a she, but I will use they just in case I'm pulling on a very feminine energy. I think what would help is if you were to help her reframe what the heartbreak is. Show her the balance of the lightness with darkness, and through the worst of times, and through the worst of life cycles that we all have to go through. I mean, the quarter life crisis, the midlife crisis, these are very big things that happen for so many of us. Sometimes having a friend who can reframe and help to say, hey man, sometimes you have to lay down on your back to look up. And it is always the darkest before the light comes out. And right now, I am with you to ride through the shitty darkness that we are in at the moment. It hurts, it sucks, but there's a balance if you just look at it. Just look toward the bright side of things. Of if you're going through a heartbreak, maybe a divorce, good. You got rid of something that was probably holding you back for a long time, and you were probably stuck in some real stale energy, and it hurts to let go of things, but by letting go of these things, you are clearing it for bigger, for better, for happier. Yeah, so just ride out with them through this hard time and just be the little shining star in their darkness right now.
Michelle, are you going to take it and build off of that?
Yes, thank you. Hi, can you hear me? I'm trying to, you all are so patient and wonderful. Thank you. It's very, yes, thank you. I can't hear you. I don't know why.
Bev has a response in the chat.
Okay, so I'm going to draw.
Bev says that was amazing, very resonant with the situation. So thank you, Sophia.
We should be.
I think Michelle might be having some connection issues, so we'll keep going. But thank you so much, Sophia, for that reading, and Bev for the question. And is there anyone else who has a question they'd like to ask to our panel? Looks like we have Michelle coming back. We've got a question from Leslie. Leslie would like a tarot reading. Leslie, is there a specific question that you have for the readers today?
Well, I think I saw earlier in the chat Leslie saying that they're dealing with health issues and a
Yes.
feeling of what's next at the moment. So I'm down to pull for Leslie, if that's all right. Okay. And I'm just like still thinking of like the crossed wires with the Two of Swords, Michelle. And so I'm happy you're in your King of Cups and that we're the Three of Pentacles holding you down here. But I'm glad we're all here. So yeah, dealing with health. Leslie says dealing with health issues and wondering what's next. A bit generic. No worries. You know, that is all right. So let us see. I'm gonna go with this deck actually. Okay. All right, let's see what's going on. Leslie. Ace of Wands. Okay, well, the Ace of Wands turned right over for you, Leslie. So I mean, this is about fire, right? So I don't know if there's like inflammation that you're dealing with, or like so all the things, right? So that could be obviously inflammation, but as that's related to anger, as it's related to passion, to energy, to motivation. So it's not reversed, which would be like lethargy or a lack of energy or some like ill-expressed anger or something that's like combusting inside, right? There's a clear channel, so that's really good. So one also dealing with this is like maybe eating spicy foods, getting your heart rate going, checking out anything that you are having inflammation, like in whatever part of your body or whatever, you know, so emotional, physical body, just concerning the fire and the will and the prophecy. And the wand is prophetic, as we know. So we're gonna see. So let's see how to deal with Leslie's health issues. A couple more cards for this. The Seven of Cups turned over. And this is just a Centennial Rider-Waite. So, oh my gosh, Leslie, I don't know if you're a substance user by any sorts or whatnot. We already know, you know, the Seven of Cups is a boozy, kind of tripped out, kind of trancy card, right? And so this is about dream work, you know, this is like in the shadows. This is illusion versus disillusionment in choice. Maybe some dissociation, right? Although I'd count that more with the Four of Cups, right? This is Venus and Scorpio as well, which again, we just had a Scorpio eclipse. And so, I mean, the Ace of Wands is like this light shining in the day of like, here it is, right? Like, here's where the fire is. Here's where the next stage is. Here's where the next step is. And the Seven of Cups is in this liminal, like Bardo phase of what desire to heed next, like what will I choose next, right? And there's always you can go for that like first tier of cups, right, which has the castle or the riches or the success or the vice, but it's those cups on that higher tier, on that second level, that are harder to strive for but more fulfilling. So I'm just like, make sure that you're drinking enough water. Okay, make sure that you're sleeping enough. I would maybe be dream journaling and paying attention to your dreams to see what fear may be processing in your subconscious and whatnot. And so we're gonna see again, like we're gonna get another card for you, Leslie, to help with this. The High Priestess. The High Priestess, right? And so part of these things, I mean, a lot of this is the integration of your shadow, right? Always good to drink water, I'm sure, right? I have an astrologer and he was like, if you just drink more water, like it'll help a lot. And I'm like, okay, grandma's old recipe, like got it, you know. It's fantastic. Okay, great. And the High Priestess, the moon, darling. So you know, we just, again, I'm sorry to keep saying it, but we just had an eclipse, right? So if your body has been feeling out of whack, I don't know if you menstruate or not or whatnot, but like if that's been out of whack, it's the High Priestess. Like it's about this irrational, chaotic, like emotional, psychic nature. And so part of these issues that may be holding you back is like being sort of stuck in a hell realm, right? Being stuck in the shadows, being stuck in fear. We know the High Priestess, right, the underworld. We know the High Priestess is Persephone, right? We know she's a symbol for a woman. Sorry, my Siri came on. Sorry, not Siri heard. No, it's Persephone, not you, Siri. You know, and the High Priestess, she only speaks through images, right? Where the Hierophant may be the translator, and you could like go to the book and like read the word or like say the mantra, say the thing, right? The High Priestess is she's trying to communicate with you. She's trying to get you to feel into your body, to take autonomy over your sexuality, especially given that that Ace of Wands came through. And the Seven of Wands is like Venus and Scorpio, which is like a sexy, you know, I have natally Venus and Scorpio, so it's like, it's a different kind of Venus. It's a little bit more kinky of a Venus, right? And so part of this might be just like sexual frustration. I'm just gonna tell you, all right, Leslie, like part of this might be like, part of that autonomy is it's about erotic empowerment, you know, and it's like Audre Lorde is always saying, like, once you feel to a certain capacity, you know, you can't go back. Like it holds you accountable. And so it's like, once you know what it is to have this great sensation, like to feel so alive, you can't fake it anymore, you know? And I think that like, if you're slipping back into doubting what it is that you want and like having a haze over what you feel is the right path, that might be too, there might be like almost too much water and not enough fire. So definitely that's like the Seven of Cups is like all of this water, like all of these options, all of these choices. They're not all for you, right? Just because an option presents itself to you, you might be like, should I take it? Is that like, do I want to do that? Do I need to try that method or remedy or yoga or practice or like all the things that there are to heal in the world, right? The Ace of Wands is like, go, like your spirit knows, like your fire knows, like that's more of that inner yang, that's more of that like you having the strap, like you having, you know, the like you having it, right? Like you just trusting what turns you on and like turning away from like, I don't know, like the menu options of like, you just like stick to the basics, like get your breath, like breath of fire, I would say probably would be helpful. Again, good sleep, good dreaming, and then also giving catharsis to that fire, like giving a channel to your fire. So that may be, again, more exercise, that could be more sex, more self-pleasure, spicier foods, taking up space. Like it seems like there needs to be a clearer channel for the fire in all of those ways. And so yeah, so I'll leave it at that. The Queen of Wands is at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so I'm just saying that feels like an added emphasis or like punctuation onto stepping into this. Like the wand is obviously a phallic masculine symbol, but we got a Queen of Wands who's holding that wand real high with taking like man spreading with her black cat sitting right in front, right? And so like she is the high priestess, but that like more solary, fiery high priestess like embodiment, right? So yeah, so be freak, scare some people, you know what I mean? Like make some people mad if you need to, like turn some people on, like leave them wondering, you know what I mean? Rather like put that out there rather than internalizing that in. Like people's confusion about who or what you are is not yours when you know what you want and go for it, right? So I'll leave it at that. You know, a lot of these things might be psychosomatic or like somatization. Like your physicality might just be from a lack of owning your autonomy. Okay, I'm sorry I'm going on. I'll stop.
I just wanted to ask before I started, is it okay if I jump in? Because I had pulled some stuff and I think it dovetails pretty nicely with what Christopher has already contributed to the reading. Okay. So I just wanted to say this is in the middle of the spread, but it's a nice little sync. We also have the Ace of Wands coming out in my spread as well. So I think that's a nice confirmation for what Christopher has already. Oh, she got the Ace of Wands. Love it. Love it. And I also wanted to add about that Seven of Cups, something that had sprung to mind was that I would be careful about maybe catastrophizing about your situation, because I know we don't have specifics, but maybe get into the present moment. If you are maybe ruminating about how bad things could go, we could also maybe spend time thinking about what support there is and possibly how good things could go. And because I have the Five of Cups here, maybe that we are focusing a little bit validly on the upset, on the negative, because we don't want to dismiss that. We don't want to bypass the reality of feeling grief or frustration when we are not feeling our best. But there is also a suggestion within the card that there is a time for that, and can we also turn around and see the support that maybe we have, or the things that we can still be grateful for and feel positive about? Because what I think is going on is maybe you might feel a little bit stuck or confined by whatever your current physical limitations are. And that's completely understandable, especially if you've had any advice from a medical team that you need to maybe do less. I'm not sure. Maybe you do have some physical limitations right now, or it could just be something that's going on in your mental space about your health issues in particular. But for me, with that Ace of Wands coming in, I'm not sure if this is something on the external. It feels a little bit more internal, that there is going to be a burst of fresh energy coming in, maybe from your surrounding environment, or maybe just from hearing supportive reads, hearing that there are people who you don't even know that care about your situation. And it's going to bring you more into this positive success. I can do this, whatever this is, energy. I can face this reality, no matter what it is, because, if it's a chronic issue, life is still here to be lived, even with those types of things going on. But what I see after this burst of energy that comes in, maybe support, maybe you start feeling better. We're going from the Ace of Wands and the Six of Wands right into the Chariot. And so it's likely that I would say probably, at least emotionally, you're going to be feeling a lot better. Maybe you will see support incoming and coming in and just bolstering up your spirit, your mood, and perhaps even your physical health. And we also have this King of Cups here. I don't know if this is anyone in your surrounding environment. I don't know if any of the other readers maybe want to pull clarification cards on this, so I'm not going through it myself, but I'm curious to know if maybe there is someone, if we turn around here in this Five of Cups, there's this Two of Cups behind you. I don't know if you have a partner, a friend, someone around you who's actually extremely supportive, who wants to come in and offer you maybe more care and compassion and nurturance than you're currently seeing.
I would like to hop in here because maybe it just goes into a nice full circle with, I pulled out the Ace of Wands during Christopher's, and it came out also around the time that you were talking about water intake and hydration. The Star card came out, and I was really, really drawn to the water imagery of this and how abundant it is. But at the same time that those two came out together, all I could hear is the song WAP. It is playing in the background so much, and it makes me really resonate with Christopher's interpretation of that wand type energy, that like sexual involvement that Ace of Wands has. But with these cards being very singular, and the Two Cups of Allison's fallen over Five of Cups, maybe the Two Cups that you're looking back on is inward, and maybe it's the hydration to yourself. I will say, I do think water is high on the agenda to take in a lot of intake. And take this with a grain of salt, I am not a doctor by any means, and I do not want to go over any type of medical information. But I'm really pulling in the liver and the kidney area. So I would really take back on your alcohol intake. I would focus more, like if you're pulled to have a drink, have it be water, and maybe think about some sexy time by yourself. Get comfortable with your body. Maybe you will feel more empowered if you explore yourself. Like she's half naked, hopefully monetization or anything. I don't know how streaming works, but I'll cover her bits. But I really think this is a time to look at your body as not just maybe like breaking down on you, or looking at it as, oh no, like what's going wrong. Look at what's going right. Like maybe you just need to feel hot about yourself. maybe you just need to connect with your body and look at all of the things that you appreciate in it. And sometimes the body will follow suit to what you set out the plan to be. So if you talk to your body and say, we're a badass bitch, we're not going to deal with these little issues. I'm going to drink my water and I'm going to step out and get all of this great energy. And that will start to heal within. Energy is so powerful, and you set the tone for your energy. So maybe like dance naked in front of the mirror, feel yourself, have a moment. Also, the song was WAP. I don't even know who it's. Lizzo and is it Cardi B? Cardi B. I'm obviously not cool and hip, but that was the song that was just really, really resonating with me. So maybe just get in touch with your WAP.
Can I say I love that, Sophia? And it's Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. Yeah. I love you covering her bits. Her covering her bits. That killed me.
We have some resounding yeses coming in from the WitchAid chat, so thank you. Thank you to all of the readers for a great question. Leslie, we're really happy to be able to. Oh, Michelle's got a general read. So let's pull a general read from Michelle.
Okay, I can start us off. I see some of us still. I'm sure I know. Well, like I love how this is flowing. I'm also glad that you're not a drinker, Leslie. Neither am I. But you still might be drinking enough water, and also maybe like electrolytes. Do you know what I mean? And also, I think like other forms of getting your water out in terms of like sweating, right? Like or like in whatever way. Like there's other releasing. Like deep waters need to be released, given that star. But anyhow, Michelle. So I got 3 cards for you, Michelle. General read. 4 of Swords. She is in her coffin, and white roses are blooming. And there's just that like little bit of daylight out there, and it's like so blue, so rest. You know, this is a tombstone, dead sleep, deep night. Like even like draw the curtains. You know what I mean? Like you might have some blackout curtains, and just leave like just a little bit of light in, but it's like sort of your body, like the rhythm may be like there, it's obviously daytime outside, right? But like she's asleep, right? So it's like she's like on a different time sleep schedule than the rest of the world and whatnot. Yes, Star Spinner. I love Star Spinner. And of course, it's like not just one Damocles sword over her head, but 3, right? Ready to sort of pierce mind, heart, and soul and whatnot. So just this like room, right? That's like you can enter in, that's like outside of space-time, outside of the progression of light, and almost let something go to rest, like let some stress out, right? Go and commune with the fallen. This is about sleep healing as well. Like if you have an icon near your bed, or a hero or an elder, an ancestor, a witch, or whoever, whatever spirit that you might be only able to commune with through sleep. Like I think of what is it from American Horror, like the Coven one of American Horror Story, and they were like doing like to become the Supreme, they had to like go to hell and come back, and they were like all on the ground, like dead. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that kind of communion, okay, and that kind of soul retrieval. And again, you might have to close a lot of like the solar consciousness light out, but not totally, right? Like leave yourself like a light on to like find your way back, like those Coven witches did. Because we also got this Nine of Wands here, which is like this poor little jester with like a black eye and his wings down, little fairy guy, and he's got the like, and he's just like burnt up by the sun. You know what I mean? It's like hot outside, and maybe got some sunburn and fell and like hit himself or something. He's down, but he's not defeated, right? And so this is that resilience card. This is that endurance card. This is that like young soldier. Like this is a warrior spirit card. And sometimes the Knight of Wands figure is like really grit and resolute and whatnot. So don't let it be down. You know, we're still standing. Your stars are still shooting up. It's still very bright outside and all the things. And so just like a little bit of recuperation, a little bit of rest to gather some energy, maybe just like over expenditure of like physical solar energy gets to wear on your spirit. You know what I mean? Whereas like you just need like a little meditative moment, a cat nap, like a little dead sleep ritual. Because at the end is the Four of Wands. So I love this, you know, and sorry, I'm like again, okay. So these cute little fairies, like twin sisters, holding together that flower. There's community, right? This is that calling card of like gathering the troops and summoning and raising support for the cause. It's very much what we're doing here. And so I think you're holding that ground, you know, and you're gathering, like there's almost like a celebration of life, right? That's happening here. And that you can partake in, and that can exist near this morning, you know, at the same time at once, like near this like letting go and like celebration of life must encompass and accommodate death and release, of course. And we're still the ones holding line. You're still here. You're still standing. Like you're going to be the ones still going. So I love that. These two do look younger. So there's like a renewal. There's friendship. There's play. There's camaraderie. Rather than four of them, it's like, I mean, there's two of them typically, but they're holding one flower. So it does seem like there's some helpful spirits, like fairy spirits around you. And I know you work with fairies and all of that. Okay. And I'll stop there. Yeah, I'm glad because I see, yes, totally got that. So I'm glad. Love for Allison or Sophia to add on or to take it away.
Well, I've got stuff. But I'm keeping Christopher's ending with that Four of Wands because one of my ending cards is this Justice card, which I think is a nice little sync with that balance that we have out. But I think what I'm picking up on here, because I'm going to get a little bit more specific with it, I think I'm picking up maybe Michelle's current energy, because what I see is the Three of Wands, and the thing is, these ships, I'm going to say three besides Jove here, because I think Jove has shown up in the read as this King of Swords who is hosting, because like this king is in the air. I just want to say that's very internet, like we're floating in these little squares right now. So I think that this is Jove right here, because I think Michelle is being embodied by this Justice energy beside him. And why that is going on is like, okay, so we have these three wands, these three little readers, the stream is going on, and Michelle maybe wants to be more present than she is in the stream, and yet she is on the shore. She is not in the stream, or she is in the way she best can be. And it is something that she has put in so much effort for. And what I see is that it's just like, here's this Five of Cups again. It's frustration, and validly, because it's sort of like, I'm trying and I'm trying and I'm trying here with this Knight of Cups. I keep coming back, and yet for whatever reason, circumstances are asking me to walk here for reasons outside of my control. For some reason, the tower keeps striking, and I'm getting that as electrical energy, that Two of Swords, the interference that we got at the beginning of the read. And walking away from this, we have Jove and maybe, Michelle here, who wants to be this balancing force to come in and be adding her energy in to hold things down, to balance things out. But this Justice card is a bit blindfolded. She's in a step back. And so maybe I'm sensing the frustration about that, the feeling of like, we did all of the things and yet here we are. And I just want to come back to Christopher's ending card in that you did a really phenomenal job bringing all of this together. Maybe regardless of whether you are not participating vocally as much as you wanted to participate, this has been an amazing experience. And I know that y'all both have done so much work. And despite whatever glitches or interferences have been going on, it's been incredibly worth it.
I think mine pulls a little bit more than just the immediate situation of today, but I do feel the interlacing between Christopher and Allison. I had was it the Seven of Pentacles that you had pulled up, Allison? I couldn't tell. I was trying to look because I also pulled the Seven of Pentacles.
It's the 8.
Okay. So I got this and it came with the Hermit in reverse. And I feel like maybe you have just come out of Dark Night of the Soul is hitting, but I feel like it's just another chapter of this. Like maybe you're really going through a period of where you've been in reflection and you came out fast, hot, and ready to put on this event and so excited about it. I think you put a lot of yourself into this, and I think you had a lot of the excitement and the energy. And I think it's pulling back to this frustration of you sitting on the outside and looking at this like, look at all my hard work, and I'm just sitting here looking at it, not able to be a part of it. And I think with this is saying, don't internalize that. Don't let that stop you. Don't let that divert you from the path at all. I did get the 10 of Cups in reverse though. And I'm tying that to go with this Hermit in reverse and the 7 of Pentacles of maybe there is some family or community type ideals that you may be wanting so badly to prove against, and to not look at this or what you have decided you want to do with your life and your path and what your morals and your ideas are, to stop you from moving forward with yourself and your ideas and your beliefs and what brings you to your highest truth and your highest self. Leave behind any influences that may be coming from a community, and keep going with your intuition. Keep going with your gut. Keep going with what makes you passionate, with what you think is true to yourself, and block out the noise and just chip away at it. Keep doing it. And I think you will get the things that you're looking for. You'll get the successes. The sun in the middle of the deck when I went to break it. Yeah, I think this event is lovely and I'm having such a good time, and this wouldn't have come together if it wasn't for you.
Thank you all for the wonderful card pulls and interpretations for Michelle there. Thank you all again for being here and being part of this inaugural WitchAid with all of the complications and technical difficulties we're having. It's still really, really beautiful, to have this be started and to start to enmesh ourselves together. And we really hope that this can grow into something bigger. And the support that we're bringing together from day to day, we're at 17% of our goal. Every little bit counts, every little bit helps. And so thank you so much to all of those who have donated and given during this time. Really, really appreciate it. I think the energy that we find ourselves in when we help each other comes back when we are able to weave ourselves in together spiritually by giving. I've found, personally, and in my work as a sort of consulting astrologer, that um, uh, people's spirits remember people, and the things that are attached to them will feel that kindness and know that kindness, and that kindness will multiply. So excited to see how that unfolds with all of you. So we're going to show another film from Medea now, and this one is called Beltane. That was Beltane from Medea of Moon. And we have another question that's coming in from the audience. It's from Coco VP. It says, "This is a more current events question. Sorry, but will there be any sort of accountability for the ruling class?" So again, a current events question. Will there be any sort of accountability for the ruling class? think we're all on the edge of our seats for this one.
This is hysterical. The first card that came up for me is the devil, the ruling class, embodied by devil energy. But what I'm also seeing for that, I don't know if there's someone or something in particular that you had in mind. But what I'm seeing is that the sun card is coming up on this devil energy. So it is likely there is going to be some sort of clarity and recognition for whatever behaviors are going on. Sort of what's done in the dark comes to light. And we have a Knight of Cups here. And this is a very interesting Knight of Cups. It's someone kind of looking over their shoulder. You got the Knight of Cups. I'm interested to hear your take on that because I'm not sure about mine yet. But this is almost like somebody looking back who intuitively knew what was going on here. They knew the truth and maybe they were trying to tell people about it. And it's sort of like now that this has come to light, it's sort of like, I told you so. Like looking over and sipping the cup like, I'm just going to sit here and mind my little business now, but I told y'all so. And we're ending with the Ten of Pentacles, which to me does suggest more equal distribution within the community, though I'm not quite sure on my end how that would work out. But it looks like to me, I don't know about accountability, but definitely some sort of more equanimous distribution of some sort of resources or at least work going on within the wider material community.
That's so funny. I seem to just be getting all of the same cards as everyone else. I only got one card that came out, and it was the Knight of Cups in reverse. So I took that as we're just going to be gaslit and they're going to have a good time about it. Like, I think they are going to say the nice, waxy, flowery things that they think will sound good from the public, and they don't mean it at all. I think there may be a play on the emotionality of the public of, I don't know, like trying to distract us with a very cute puppy video when in the background they're running a terrible puppy mill breeding in their backyard, that kind of thing of like, we're going to show you the parts that we want to show you, but it's about our agenda. It's not about your feelings or anything like that. So I don't get much positive from that other than have an eye of discernment on what's put out there and don't take everything at face value.
Michelle's comment makes me laugh. Yeah, that's such a big question. I also will say, like, you know, Pluto has retrograded, which happens often, but we'll be retrograding into Capricorn, which at least in the West, like the US is having its Pluto return, which aligns like, and I would love to hear like Joe, what you have to say about all this too. But, you know, with the downfall of empire, like what is accountability to the hegemons, to the people in power? Like, this is the red reed over here, y'all. The only accountability is decolonization, is like the crumbling of an empire. You know, this is a question about reform versus abolition, right? And so I pulled the star, right? And for me, the star is about futurity, queer futurity, and it's about the long scope of history. It's about, well, like one, it's like, will they be accountable? That displaces responsibility in terms of like, who's going to hold them accountable? How are you as a listener going to hold these people in power accountable? And how are you holding yourself accountable to the revolution, to the change, to the reclamation of lands and of technologies that are going to take us beyond the apocalyptic, like capitalist end of the world scenario, right, into the renewal of time, into the renewal of life, into the reclamation of like indigenous technologies and lands and ways of being and ways of knowing. And so that's a big question. Like, so just that question is like, so much of that, right? And so so that's where I'm coming at it from. And just like the star for me is this consideration of this like long arc of freedom, this washing away of like, you know, like the star is naked in the pool. Like she's there's a return to the garden. There's a return to sacrality that you've been kicked out of, like Eve, right? She's like Eve's found her way into her own garden again. Like she's not what is, I always get them confused. She's sacred, not profane in this instance, right? Whenever you see the naked femme body, it is about the sacredness. It's the clothed body, clothed by coloniality and by conditioning, that makes it profane, that distorts us. So again, I think that part of the stars, like yes, I would say that this is a sign of hope. You know what I mean? And I would say like to maintain, what is it? Like, what is that quote by, oh my gosh, I forgot who, but it's like, you know, you can be despairing in emotion, like as an emotional state, but never as a stance. Do you know what I mean? Like there's just, you can't, like we have to have a disciplined hope. We have to have an informed hope. We have to have a radical hope that is resistant and persistent despite the inundating like despair that we're getting broadcasted 24/7. So that's what I would say.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're getting some hearts on fire in the chat, which very much how I feel as well. And I love that you, Christopher, brought up the Pluto return. And I think just this retrograde back into Capricorn, thinking about the violence of power dynamics and with Capricorn, land and materiality and money in particular, and just the retrograde in terms of what does retribution mean? I think that's a question everyone needs to be asking themselves right now, and is something we're all going to be forced to confront very soon if we're not already. So, Coco VP says, loved all of your responses. Thank you so much. So, really, really appreciate the insights being shared and shown here today.
I just wanted to ask really quickly to Sophia, where did you get the puppy?
Michelle asks,
Oh,
who is
sorry.
going to hold power accountable? Seriously, there's no easy answer to that. Yeah.
Allison, were you asking about the puppy thing?
Yeah, I wanted to know where you had grabbed that imagery from.
The guide sent it to me. All I could see is a puppy mill.
I just wanted to, because, you know, I pulled the 10 of Pentacles, right? That final card. But I just wanted to hold it closer to the camera.
No. Well, universe just be doing that to me sometimes.
Lots of synchronicities. It's beautiful. Michelle just says, whoa, I got to chill. So really, really loving the vibe that we've been able to create here, and just the energy and groundedness that y'all have brought, and just the different perspectives and different sort of frequencies that have been able to come together, and I think really carve out perspective for folks. And so it's been so fun to witness this and see the audience's responses. And I think we've got a little bit of time left. It seems like we've got some more viewers now. Is there anyone else who's recently joined our stream who has a question for any of the readers? I think if while we're waiting on more questions from the audience, I would love if maybe y'all could pull some cards on WitchAid, and maybe some advice for how we can continue to grow and use the energy that we're building in the most equitable and informed ways that we can.
Well, the first card that I had popping out immediately pretty much was Temperance. So I think patience, of course, and appreciation for what is currently being made right now. And what I also see, this is why I love this little deck in particular, because we also have the Princess of Cups, but I want to hold it up because she's on her phone. She's sitting down watching something on her phone, and then immediately after that, I have the Two of Swords popping up again. So I just feel like patience is required, and doing something over and over and over again, because like the eyes, people are watching, people are gaining benefit out of this, and these interruptions, these glitches, whatever they are, when I clarified it, I came back out with the Ace of Wands and the Six of Wands. So I think that with the Two of Cups being poured back and forth in the Temperance and this Two of Swords here, I think that learning from what's gone on and taking that into the next fresh stream, that no matter what, there's going to be a lot of success. And also recognition for people maybe who aren't as heard, like featuring new readers, new people. I think that the more voices that can come onto the stream that maybe aren't featured as much elsewhere would be a great way to continue expanding what y'all are doing.
I love that, Allison. I pulled the Queen of Wands, which is just like, again, like the witch avatar, our icon, like for us here. She has her high eyes fixed like towards the heavens. I love how full she is, like how green she is, and she has a white cat, not a black cat. Okay, because she is black. She is a black cat. So one, there's like, the Queen of Wands. I mean, erotic autonomy. It's very much like leading, like I feel like collectively honing in and charging on like the icon and the image of the queen itself, like to infuse the space, like making sure that there is that orientation towards the witch and towards like the witchy queen, if you will, right? And then the Seven of Wands came out. I mean, the Seven of Pentacles, I'm sorry. Saturn in Taurus. My God. And this is the labor. I mean, this is just like the walk. You know what I mean? This is the hours spent. This is the dedication. I mean, it's aligning again because you've all done this during Taurus season and whatnot, which is prodding the fields, which is like getting up and just like so many steps going into the process. But it's like you're sowing new ground, like you're doing new things, and there is a labor. The Five of Swords came out as well, but this one is feeling, I mean, the image, like this guy's face looks very similar to this guy's face, and so I'm feeling like there's like a progression here, but there's like a difference in turn. Like one's like turned, like their head is turned ever so distinctly, and so one, it's like having in your background, like in letting this space, as Allison was saying, be informed by the negative experiences that that the group has come from and being kicked out or being othered or being like bad mouthed or like broken vows and broken contracts and like right? Like having to like gather yourselves and do your own thing and be like, I really had to defend myself there. Like, I really had to like walk away from a tough situation. That's half of the battle, is like already getting out of that situation. The real work and the real labor is this Seven of Pentacles. Like this is like like where you're investing your body and your being and your time in will make this a fruitful project. Like will make this something that is aligning to your values. Like when we're motivated to do by our values, like, you know what I mean? Like whatever we're doing is motivated by our underlying system and set of values. And again, like in some decks, the figure in this card, in this portal, is chilling. Like they're sitting and they're like waiting, and they're like waiting for the avocado to to brown. You know what I mean? It's like already there. They're not there yet. They're very much like still in the fields. Like they're in the labor. Like they're like, it's a difference of, again, like, okay, I know what I don't want, and then that's like moving away from, and then knowing what you do want, and like really going towards that every day, because it's like there's a real potential for real wealth here, but it's a slow steady build and slow steady progress, right?
As it should be.
Yeah, as it should be. Yeah, absolutely. And again, just like holding the image of the power of this Queen of Wands, which is like, I'm sorry, I can't. It's like, no, but you know, which is all of these witchy power. Like, it's just like, again, like promoting like a black femme psychic autonomy is just like so radical, and so it's just like so different, right? And it's also such a symbol and status of power. So I really love that, and it's something to work towards and like build towards. But it's like, who's the front man? Like, who is the icon? Like, who is the name, or like the figurehead, if you will, right? Versus like who is doing the labor, right? And knowing the balance between those two, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
So I got some interesting cards. I came out together with the Four of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles, and I'm really pulling on material measurement, and to not be so set on what is the material gain that we're getting back from this. Like, especially with this being a fundraiser, to not be disheartened, say, if we don't reach to 100% of the goal, that it's so much more than that. Allison hit on different perspectives and things, and I got the Hangman as she said that. And it's all about bringing together different perspectives. When Christopher was mentioning the slight turn of the two heads, that really validated to me. I got the Lover's card, and I'm not taking this Lover's card as maybe the face value of when people see a Lover's card, and it's very tied to love and emotions and things like that. I'm really drawn to choices in this, and the decisions that you make, and the way that you're going to move forward, and maybe the way that you're going to put your perspective together in how you perceive the success of how this came across. Because one thing about energy is, or one thing about money is frequency. And putting out this type of good energy and learning from other people's perspectives, putting our own perspectives out there, being open to what the universe is giving to you, and not clutching on to what your idea of success is, and be open to what the universe is saying your success is. As long as you can keep your perspective on that Lover's energy and practicing in mental abundance, then the material abundance will follow suit.
Thank you. Thank you. All this is so exciting. And, you know, I regardless of where we get to on our goal today, I feel like, you know, when Michelle and I initially talked about this, we wanted to bring people together. We wanted to show support. Not all of that is monetary. So much of it is just showing up and being together in even if it's not physical space, virtual space and time, and being able to share in this energy and this intent to support one another. And it's so meaningful to me personally, as a magical person, as someone who's is interested in building community, that all of you are here, are showing up for this, and here on this first inaugural, experiment, really. And I feel like the readings that you all just gave are really powerful. I can't wait to go back to the recording of this and figure out how can we integrate these learnings and bits of knowledge that you've shared into the next event that we do, and the next time we race. So we've got a lot in store in terms of getting the website to a better state, getting a newsletter and whatnot, and we'll make sure that all of the presenters, all of the readers, everyone who's involved is up on the website with their links as well, to make sure that we can, continue sharing the love and funnel things back to those who have given us so much today. So really interested in building out this network in a very mycelial way. Michelle just said, network that spider web. That's absolutely what we want to do. And making sure that we continue to grow. And so, is there anyone who has another question before we start to wrap things up, or anything anyone would like to share?
I'm, of course, going to defer to the audience questions, but if no one in the audience comes up with a question, I'm going to beg for a reading if I can. I want to know what I'm manifesting. But, of course, if someone in the audience has it, defer to them.
Nothing so far from the audience. So, Sophia or Christopher, would either of you be?
I got the 7 of Cups almost immediately, and all I could think of is you're manifesting whatever the F you want. It is up to you. The 3 of Pentacles did come out, which it kind of makes me think, in a way, you've manifested being here. Maybe you being here was very out of the blue and you didn't know it was going to happen. And you're like, you know what? I want to find more people in my community. And that landed you here. Because it's really interesting to get the 3 of Pentacles. And I can feel like there's one more card that for sure. Oh, okay. The 8 of Wands. So it's on, whatever it is, it's on the way and it's happening. Maybe it's literally, this is what you're manifesting, and something should be the Hierophant at the bottom of the deck. And I'm really drawn to like the people looking up at the Hierophant. So maybe you're just getting a lot of reassurance for yourself that you put yourself in the right place, and you're here to help other people, and people are here to learn from you and take back those things and start manifesting for themselves and all of the interesting and new ideas that you have for this. Because I mean, the whole word of manifestation, it can really resonate with different groups of people in really polarizing different ways. So I think you're just manifesting a stage for yourself to help debunk.
I love all that, Sophia. I just got one card for you, Allison, okay, for what you meant. And it's the moon, which is like certainly a big enough card to discuss. The moon, my God, the moon. I love the moon card. It's who let the dogs out. You're letting yourself off the leash, Allison. I mean, and part of this is like, and especially given Sophia's like the first card was like the 7 of Cups. Like part of it is you can't know until you get there. Like you don't know, you're not meant to know what you're manifesting. You're meant to simply be led and summoned, right? You're meant to be transformed in the part of the manifestation is your own your own self transformation, your own self discovery, your own releasing and moving through fear. You're going somewhere you've never been before. You expanding your sense of wildness, your sense of intuition, your witch powers. A part of, but so much of it is discovery, And so if you were to know, like, oh, I'm gonna get this, like this is exactly what it is, and I know how important it is to be specific in manifestation work. But I always like to say, like, firm on. I always like to say it, but yeah, I'm forgetting. Firm on like purpose, but like flexible on goals. Do you know what I mean? Like firm on like the core inner substance of it, on the ethic of it, but like letting the external reveal itself to you. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna just look in the mirror one day and be like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize, I know who I am, but like I didn't realize I'd look like this, or it would look like this, So save space for the unknown, save space for the mystery. A part of that moon is like, we're going to keep a lot of this veiled. We're going to keep a lot of this shadowy until you walk and get it, So I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. That was incredibly amazing and completely accurate. Both. I loved both perspectives. Thank you for sharing with me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Are there any other questions from the audience today? Astrology question for Christopher. As someone with a Scorpio moon, any advice for the eclipse?
Oh my gosh, Scorpio moon. Well, cheers. Can I ask your rising as well? I'm like, then that's so hard. One, just as an astrologer, as Jove knows, because we're like, we need to see the chart, right? It's one of those things. And we'll do the calculations. We'll pull up the calculus meme, and that's like an astrologer anytime.
Scorpio rising and Virgo sun.
Oh, a double Scorpio and Virgo sun. So a nice sextile. My goodness, you were born during like a new moon. How beautiful. Or like right after, wow, Scorpio rising. So I mean the South, well, one, it's in your relational houses, right? Your first and seventh axis. South. I'm a Scorpio sun as well. I'm a Taurus rising, so it's in my seventh house. And for me at least, it brought up such shadowy material that like I have done a lot of work to release. And I was so much, Scorpio just wants to hold on. Like Scorpio has stamina like no other. Like Scorpio doesn't let up. It's like it's for other people, it's like you just didn't want it bad enough, obviously, that's why you gave in or like let it go. It's like obviously I want more than the other person wants, right? And depending on the decan or whatnot, but like a part of Scorpio is so much about hunger and the moon. It's almost like you become so fixated on like getting a specific type of care or a specific type of food or like whatever the thing is that you say no to everything else good for you, and hopefully letting that go. It's like you might not get always what you want and like need at like a soul craving level, but like let yourself be fed and nourished in like all these other ways, like like tend to your body, right? Whatever ways that you are ignoring the needs of your body. Again, I'm like, it's like the Scorpio moon is like, I'll go on a hunger strike to get what I want. You know what I mean? Like, it's like paradoxical. Like, it's like, wait, what? You're going to like deprive yourself of everything to get something? Like, that's very Scorpio moon, right? And so hopefully health
says,
issues.
I feel so seen.
Scorpio stellium over here. Okay. Like I get it. I get it.
As someone who's also Scorpio sun, and then Mercury, Pluto, and Scorpio as well. I feel that, and I feel like the Scorpio, the one of the most helpful lessons is to figure out how to surrender, how to let go, how to, and it's the exact opposite instinct of Scorpio. And I know Scorpio moon is tough. The still waters run deep, I think, is my favorite phrase, a Larry Arrington phrase, who's a teacher of mine. Where those emotions are so felt deeply that they're almost impossible almost impossible to understand by the other, and Scorpio moon has to hold all of that all of the time, and so being able to, an eclipse moment, I think, be in that, or sometimes you just have to hide from it. I would say this last eclipse, I'm sure was pretty rough. I know a lot of folks who really felt it with the Scorpio placements, especially with natal eclipsy stuff going on there, having the nodes there, and I think it really speaks to Scorpio's power of transformation. As Scorpios can take pretty much anything and figure out how to transmute it into something, if you're willing to surrender enough to let the wound be metabolized by the body.
Cheers to that. Snaps to that. Yes. I know we had a connection, Job. I felt it. Yes. I love that.
A lot of Scorpios here on the stream today. That's for sure. So.
And I love every single each and one of them as my little Pisces self.
we've got another question from Cornelius, who contributed a video earlier today. And I think this could be done as a tarot question as well. And the question is, going through some life transitions, bringing up some shadow stuff I'm surprised by. Any advice to move through or to work with this? So I'll repeat that one more time. Going through some life transitions, bringing up some shadow stuff I'm surprised by. Any advice to move through or work with this? And then we've also got some notes from Bev, who asked the last question. Just thank yous for Christopher and Jeff. So
I got a really interesting full circle card that came up with the Ace of Swords. So maybe it's just to cut through all the noise and my mental clarity just went out the window and rebooted. So don't let that happen to you. And it came back with the Chariot, which for me is, I feel like I got really stuck because I have a million things that very quickly came hitting me all at once. And I think it's because I'm having a little bit of an issue with grabbing which thing I want to focus on, which is where maybe the Ace of Swords is coming through of like, just pick a focus. Yeah, like find one thing that you want to work on. You may be having a lot of different things coming up of like, oh, great, I want to deal with this thing and I want to deal with this thing. And oh no, now here's a core memory that come up and I have to unpack that. Don't get overwhelmed by having to race to each and sing like every single one and address it. Just pick one and focus on that one and really go into that one and don't go around it. And don't go through it, go into it, sit in it, let yourself feel all of the things. One of the things that I have a problem with this Ace of Swords type energy when I'm addressing my different things that come up in my shadow work is I tend to make logic of my emotions. I will rationalize how I'm supposed to feel and why I felt this way, all while avoiding feeling the actual feeling, which is what gets you through it. So if you are dealing with, say, a childhood trauma, I personally have had to go through and deal with a lot of childhood trauma and wounds. The first round that I did, I was like, okay, yep, totally makes sense. I understand why I reacted that way. I understand why I feel this way. And I thought, I was like, cool, mentally, I'm great with it. I have solved that issue, shadow work done. And then I just charioted on to the next one. The problem is I didn't feel any of that. I didn't sit with, okay, logically, I understand it, but I didn't let myself go through the hurt. I didn't go through the grieving of, you know what, that sucked. And I'm going to let myself feel and acknowledge that that was a raw hand that I was dealt. And even if I'm alchemizing it, and even if I'm able to understand why it happened, that doesn't necessarily take away from the hurt, and it doesn't make you any less stronger. It doesn't mean that you're backsliding or any of that. You just got to feel those emotions again so you can pull your childhood self from that and say, all right, we're good. Now we can close the chapter and go on to the next thing that we need to work on.
Cornelius is super helpful. We've got a so relatable Sophia and a so real man. So I think that's hitting for folks. Thank you.
Very relatable, Sophia. I have a Libra moon, so I intellectualize my emotions all the time, and I'm like, oh, I have to feel them. I have to feel them. So again, shout out to the Scorpio moons out there because they're kinky in terms of like they're like, give me the bitterest emotion you got. Like I want to feel that, and I'm like, okay, let's rev up. But anyhow, to this person, I feel like
Cornelius just said they're also a Libra moon, and
cheers.
I also am a Libra moon, so a lot of Libra moons in the house.
Look at all of us. Okay, cool. So this, I think this dovetails with what you were saying so well, Sophia. I pulled the Nine of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles. And the Knight, I mean, yeah, some tough stuff, right? Like the shadow, I mean, even he has a black eye, which is like an eclipse thing, right? Like it's like the eclipsing of an eye, like there can be like literal eye significations. And again, like, and it's important to know, like with index, right? Like this is the scale, right? Like this is clearly a human, a human, right? And this is a little fairy who's like on a leaf, right? And so like the wands are muses in this way, like the spirits, like this, you know, this belief that we have, this excitement that we have to see something through, like our inspiration, what motivates us. That's like the muses, like these animated spirits, like joining and communing with us at all times, right? And your spirit may be down, right? Like clearly, but like it's important to note that this card is the card of the survivor, right? Like in the decanic spirits associated with this card, it's core, which is Persephone's name after she becomes a bad boss bitch, like queen of the underworld, like pussy power comes back to the earth, like core, right? And so it's important to know that, and perhaps to reframe what you've been through as being a survivor rather than a victim of something, right? And you can maybe narrate the scars that you've experienced as testimony to your resilience rather than like I've been on a Sierra kick and she has like, she calls them beauty marks, right? Maybe instead of scars, you can call them beauty marks. Okay. And then from that, from as your spirit is recuperating, as you're like emboldening, like reorienting towards this like survival stance, survivor stance, right? Which is empowered. The Knight of Pentacles feels so anchoring and will like let you go there because sometimes our fire can be extinguished by others. It could rain, like all the things, right? And he has like this little coin, and the knight of coins, like your value, like this is the bedrock, right? So you might want to do all of the other things. Like you may like, man, I really wish I could do have all the fire in the world to like make all these ambitions happen. But so long as you're sticking to your values, and values, you know, are like set, like don't make it complicated, right? Like similar to what Sophia was saying, but more so of like, what do you really, really value to align your life? And it's like just this one coin, like you still have something to invest in, like you still have life, right? Like you're still here. And so you still have a chance to make something of yourself, to make something of your gifts to, and you know, notice like the halo, the like orb of light, right, is like off center. So it's coming, right? So it's like as you sit in reflection of the things around you, that like maybe this is your journal or your book or your album or your like your poetry or whatever it is that you're like, man, I really value this. I think that there'll be a moment of like you coming into an illumination, like you realizing how worthy you are and how much self-worth you have. Okay, so I'll look at that.
Cornelia says, gagged by the poll, Christopher. We love some glamour. So absolutely. I think it's so powerful to hear all these different perspectives and how they align and how they compare and contrast, and we're getting the full depth, I feel like, of these problems, getting to hear from different readers. So we've got another question from Erica, I believe. Christopher, you talked about the Five of Swords and the villain-victim dichotomy. How do you know if you are both a perpetrator of hurt, a villain, but trying to convey a deeper feeling, like a gray area of being with someone who caused harm, but with justice, the intent of justice, but we're not very soft? Or how do you hold your ground and boundaries of people committed to misunderstanding you?
Oh my God. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. One, I love it because those cards, like in particular, like we're in the gray realm. Like we are in the gray area there. And so one is to like, what I love about that card representing the villain victim dichotomy is that like, those are lazy characterizations. You know, we're going to cause harm and we're going to be harmed. Okay. To assume that you're just like that you're just solely a villain, like all you do is like you're just here evil, trying to like stomp on everyone's parade, like kick over sandcastles, like that's not true. You know, sometimes you have to deal with the fact that you speaking up, you taking up space is gonna like plants in nature have thorns for a reason. Do you know what I mean? And like, hey, that's a defensive thing. Like if someone's trying in your space and they get hurt, well, that's that's like working, right? Like that's a defense mechanism, like effectively working, right? And you don't want to be this like victim either, because the victim displaces responsibility. None of us, like, we can be victimized, certainly, but none of us are victims. Okay, we don't have the identity of a victim, because that is just like, you have wherewithal, like you have a voice. Like don't act like, oh, you're just like like wool pulled completely over your eyes, that like no part of your spirit or like like, you know what I mean? Like you had to agree to some of what was happening, right? So again, I think part of the card is like this, yes, like holding this gray space of where you cause harm, where you've been harmed, and taking accountability for both. And I think that is the seeking of a justice of repair, of changed behavior, of honesty and ownership, but not where there's like an accountability of action, right? And of desire and intent versus characterization, which is like, you did this, so this is what, like trying to tell people what they are, have that projected onto you. Was there more part, like was there any other things to the question, like legs to the question or whatnot?
I think that covered a lot of it. I think the how to hold your ground and boundaries of people committed to misunderstanding you.
Oh, that part, yes. Well, it's to walk away. I mean, part of that card is like that's like a necessary rupture. That's a necessary separation. That's I sometimes think of that as like the Lassie card, where it's like it's easier to, like when you know there has to be a separation. That could be circumstantial, that could be because of the energies, but it's like, shoo, go, get out of here, get away. Like you start a fight, right? But you don't want to see the thing, you don't want to see them go, right? And like Lassie is like wimping away, like, why do I have to go? And it's like, no, I'm helping you. Like I'm gonna like scare you away if I have to in order to save you, right? And so it's easier to be angry at someone to rationalize the distance or to make sense of like why there must be a separation than to just simply be with the sadness and the emotion of it and the honesty of it. And so so part of it is like, if you don't have to hold space with someone who's committed to misperceiving you, you don't have to accommodate that. Do you know what I mean? And if they want to characterize you or vice versa as such, like that might be a helpful stepping stone, that like with distance, like temporal and physical distance, you can unpack and realize like, oh, maybe they weren't the bad guy, or I wasn't the bad guy. It was just simply like an unhealthy dynamic. And that fighting was like pushing us away so we could be in our respective safe corners, right? Without like piercing each other. Yeah, there's more, but I'll stop there. But yeah, I hope that helps.
On.
Go. Yeah.
I think the change of the victimization to of like internalizing it, I think being convicted in your intention of the walkaway will really help with your boundaries and your mindset of the situation. There may be a situation that you cannot avoid. Someone is going to get hurt. But if you were doing it out of love, with kindness, with good intent, and that still affected a person that's internalizing it differently, their radar is off, their perception is different because of whatever wounds that they're reading through, that's not your plight to carry. That is not your energy to borrow. If you are moving with good intentions and you believe that truly at your core, you're firm in what you believe in, you're not meaning to be slighting, you're not meaning to be jarring, you can't control what their perception is. So as long as you are good with what you are putting out, it's just life stuff.
I just want to share something Michelle added in the chat as well. Michelle says, my intentions have been so good in my mind, but then I didn't really act out those intentions the way I intended, and it ended up causing harm. Definitely relatable there. Yeah, I think that it's, I love what everyone has said just about, what comes to mind is the agency that is around choosing to be a victim. Or I loved how Christopher said the characterization of a victim and how we can characterize ourselves as that, or it can be something that we experience. Um, and um, you know, we there are many things outside of our control that we experience, trauma that we experience, but we do get to choose how to move through it, how to carry it, how to work with it, or how to not work with it, as tough as that can be. So, great questions, everyone. Um, Awesome. So we are hitting the end time of our scheduled stream. So thank you everyone so much for participating today. Huge shout out to the readers who are on the panel: Sophia, Allison, Christopher. Thank you for being here this whole time with us. Um, those who are here earlier, check out witchaid.com, and we're going to have a recap of this with everyone's links that you can follow. Um, and let me just look over at the numbers really quickly. But we were able to raise about $400 for Day It Today. So thank you everyone so much for all of your contributions. Um, Everything here counts, and I know Medea will be very delighted and express their thanks. So thank you everyone for joining. Until
Thank
next
you.
time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been amazing.
Yeah, thank you for putting this together. It's been a blast.
Yeah, for sure. And Michelle, is there anything you wanted to type out to read to the audience? Michelle says bye in all caps. So, and I just really want to thank Michelle Embry. This was her idea. This would not have happened with how her organizing. I know she's a teacher to many of us, and I respect her so much. I would not be where I am as a spiritual person without Michelle, and I just am so glad for the threads that she puts between all of us, and for bringing us here today. So Michelle says she wants to say thanks and that you've all been amazing. So great. Appreciate you all so much, and have a great evening.